Hello, you're welcome to this class, biology class, and chapter 50, drugs. Okay, we're going to look at it from different author and see what drugs means. And there's good use of drugs, there's bad use of drugs, misuse of drugs. We're going to talk about both, okay, and we're going to look at what drugs is, the effect of the misused drugs, and how it affects us. Okay, so we're going to start from the very first one, which is called the antibiotics, which is the good use of drugs. We look at drugs. First of all, the meaning. What is the meaning of drugs? They're for medicine, right? Drugs are usually supposed to be for medicine, for wellness, for treatment, and so on and so forth, to boost our immune system and to help us fight disease and stay alive. So we define a drug. We say a drug is a substance taken into our body that modify and affect the metabolic reactions in our body, the chemical reactions in our body, in order for us to be able to cope with the environment that we live in. So any substance that you take into your body to modify or to change the chemical reaction, the metabolic reaction in your body, is called drugs. So whether it modifies for good cause or for bad cause, it's called drugs. For the good cause, they're like the ones we use to boost our immune system, like antibiotics, to boost our immune system for the good cause. For the bad cause is the one that modify your chemical or metabolic reactions in your body and cause you to have other side effects like depression, stimulants, and makes you dizzy, drowsy, and makes you high. According to some people, makes you feel out of this world and makes you, which are called the misuse of drugs. So drugs are actually things that affect our metabolic reactions, things that modify the chemical reactions and compositions in our body system. So that's why we have to be careful what we use drugs for. We must choose drugs that helps us to boost the immune system, not the drugs that will stimulate our metabolic reactions in a wrong way. Okay, so because if it stimulates the metabolic reaction in the wrong way, it may affect your liver, it may affect your kidney, it may affect the entire respiratory system, it may affect your heart, and it may affect every other metabolic reactions that is taking place in your body. So drugs are medicinal drugs, and they're used to treat symptoms or diseases or causes of diseases. As a good example of drugs that are medicinal that are being recommended to you by experts of the field, like the medical doctors and nurses, these drugs are called the good drugs, and a good example is the antibiotics. A good example of this type of drugs is the antibiotics. They're used for wellness. Now let's quickly harmonize these antibiotics. We say antibiotics, the chemical substances that are made by certain fungi or bacteria. Yes, most of the diseases they're caused by bacteria or fungi in our body. Most of the diseases, the sickness we have, they're caused by bacteria in our food, bacteria that have found their way into our body system, or fungi that have found their way into our body system. So in order to be able to subdue them, we have to use bacteria or we have to use fungi to create medicine that will fight them. We have to create their type to fight them. Okay, so that's how antibiotics are being made. They're made with chemical substances that are from these fungi. These substances are maybe grounded from fungi or bacteria and they're used to make antibiotics that you drink. So, and these substances that are made from bacteria or fungi, they affect the workings of the bacterial cells in your body. So they are able to stop the bacteria from continuous invasion of your body cells. They're able to stop them, or they're able to subdue them. either by disrupting their structures or functions, or by preventing them from reproducing in your body. Because the more they keep reproducing in your body, the more they will outnumber your white blood cells, your leukocytes, and wage a strong war against you, and by then you fall sick. You fall very sick, and you have to be taken to hospital for admission and treatment, because the bacteria or fungi in your body have found a way to subdue your white blood cells. Your white blood cells or your antibodies could no longer fight them beyond their capability. So you have to be admitted to hospital and you have to be treated. If you're not quickly treated or you're not quickly taken to hospital, it might lead to other things. It might even lead to death. So this is why we have to live in a clean environment and eat from a clean environment. We're mindful of what we eat. We make sure the cup we use to drink water are rinsed with warm water. The plates are rinsed with warm water. Everything you're using, you rinse with warm water before you use them, because they help to kill these small bacteria that will eventually find way to your system. Flies, they're one of those things. When flies perch on meat or perch on your food, they actually secrete bacteria on your food, and this you eat unknowingly, and this cause problem in your system. So we have to find a way to fight this bacteria. But the first and foremost thing to do is to eat and live in a clean environment, in order to minimize the bacteria going to your body system. And after that, if you still find bacteria in your system, you have to find a way to use all these antibiotics to kill them in your body, in order not to destroy your immune system or your body system. Antibiotics, they target the process and structure that are specific to bacteria. They just target the process and the functions and structure that's specific to bacteria, prokaryotic system or cells. And such, they do generally harm the animal cells. They do not harm your body cells. They do not. They target antibiotics. They target these bacterial cells and harm them, but they don't harm the body of the human being. So now this is a good example. This is penicillin. Penicillin is one of the earliest antibiotics that was developed. Okay, and this is the bacterial cells that is growing in your body. This is the bacterial cells that is growing in your body. So when you take tablets of penicillin, what it does is that it will go into these bacterial cells and start to dysfunction them. You see, it start to, like, this deadly attack will start to leave this bacteria. Their capability will start to leave them. So the penicillin that you've taken, this penicillin is destroying this bacteria from the inside. So penicillin is a good example of antibiotics. It's one of the early antibiotics that have been developed. Okay? It's one of the early antibiotics that have been developed. Now let's quickly take a look at the antibiotic resistance and use. Okay? Since the first antibiotics were made very long ago, more than a century ago, or almost a century ago, many other types have been developed, right? They've been developed, and these antibiotics, they are widely used. In fact, nowadays they are even overused. Now, the commonly prescribed antibiotics are becoming less effective due to the number of these reasons. One of the reasons why antibiotics are becoming less effective, people overuse them, people abuse them. Any little things, normally antibiotics are supposed to be prescribed by doctors, but nowadays any little things, anyone can just prescribe antibiotics for themselves. So overuse of it will make the bacterial cells to be used to it. They will no longer be able to destroy the bacterial cells. They will become resistant. The bacterial cells in your body will become resistant to the antibiotics. That's why you don't let antibiotics to be familiar, or the bacteria to be familiar with the antibiotics. So don't overuse it. Don't, like any little thing, you go and prescribe antibiotics for yourself. It's not good. It's only when something is serious, okay, or when it's prescribed by a medical expert. Patients fail to complete the fully prescribed dose by a doctor. So this is one of the problems why they're becoming less effective. Doctors gives you based on the level of your sickness, doctor has prescribed a certain amount of antibiotics for you. But what you do, no, you don't finish. Once you take 2-3 tablets, you get it better, we throw the rest away. We don't complete. So this is another big problem why antibiotics are becoming less effective. Then another reason is the large-scale use of antibiotics in farming to prevent diseases when livestock are kept in close quarters, or even when animals are not actually sick. Okay, people just begin to administer antibiotics to animals even when they are not sick. Okay, in the event that they are afraid that they don't want them to be sick. So this has led to the effectiveness of the antibiotic being reduced, no more super effective as it used to be because of these characteristics that we've mentioned. Then the incidence of antibiotic resistance is increasing. The bacteria are commonly known as superbugs. They are known as what we call the superbugs. Bacteria are superbugs that will evade your immune system, that will invade your body system, your cells, your body cells. And then the most common one is the MRSA. The most common bacteria that evade your cells is the MRSA. Now let's take a look at ways individuals can help prevent the incidence of antibiotic resistance increasing. Include 1, only take antibiotics when absolutely necessary. You don't abuse it. You don't just take yourself when it's absolutely necessary and when it has been prescribed to you by a medical expert. When it's prescribed, it's prescribed. These are the 2 ways you can make antibiotics to be effective. When it's prescribed to you by a medical expert, then you take. A population of bacteria in the guts. You know, your immune system is in your guts. So bacteria evade your gut and evade your immune system. Some have antibiotic resistance. Yeah. Some of these, they have antibiotic resistance. When exposed to an antibiotic, bacteria causing illness as well as healthy gut bacteria are killed. So when you bring antibiotics to them, all those bacteria that are making you sick, the antibiotics will kill them, like your penicillin and other antibiotics. In this case, with reduced competition for nutrients, antibiotics resistant bacteria multiply, forming a larger population that is difficult to control. So after some time, you see that if there's no competition for nutrients, meaning the bacteria are free, no one is competing them, they subdue your system, they begin to grow larger and they multiply. They form larger population that can be difficult for you to control. Okay, so you can see this color, this purple color is for pathogenic antibiotics resistant bacterium. Pathogenic antibiotic resistant bacterium. This red one is the pathogenic bacterium, and this one is the heady gut bacterium. The heady gum is the green one, and this red one, or whatever color this is pathogenic bacterium. Okay, so all of them they found in your gut. You can see all of them is found in your gut. So when you take antibiotics, it will destroy the one that's meant to destroy you. Okay. Now we have what we call the plasmid with antibiotic resistant gene. They can be shared between the bacteria of both and same different species. We have what we call the plasmid with antibiotics. The plasmid with antibiotics is able to, this plasmid can be shared with the antibiotic resistant gene, can be shared between the bacteria of both the same and different species. Whether same bacteria or bacteria of different species, this plasmid can be shared with them. And this plasmid is an antibiotic resistant. It's an antibiotic resistance that helps us to be good. Okay. Now let's take a look at the other materials that I said we will be looking at. So we already defined what is a drug. We say it's a substance, any chemical substance that is taken to affect the chemical reactions in our body. Let's take an overview from this other material. Okay, we've defined drugs, and then we said We have good drugs, and we have the bad one, the abused one, abused drugs. So let's take a look at the good use of drugs. We talked about antibiotics as the first and foremost good use of drugs. We say antibiotics, they are drugs that are used to treat the bacterial infection in our body. Any bacterial infection in our system, we use antibiotics to treat them. Some antibiotics, they kill bacteria by destroying their cell wall. Some of them, they kill bacteria by destroying the cell wall, leading to the cell bursting, like what we saw in the previous case. The cell will burst, right? Leading to the cell bursting, like in this case. See the cell burst. The penicillin was a good example of these antibiotics. When it was taken, it goes into this cell and start to destroy it. You see the cell will burst. Okay? So they attack the cells, the bacterial cells, and cause it to burst. While others inhibit the growth. Other antibiotics, they stop the growth. Okay? They make sure that the bacteria do not grow further in your body of the bacteria. They inhibit the growth. But what about viruses? Viruses cannot be killed by antibiotics. You know, right? If you have a virus, be infected by virus, like last time when we had coronavirus, we could have, if it was possible to use antibiotics, we would have just used antibiotics for coronavirus or any other type of virus when it affects you. When virus affects you, you need something else. Okay? Not bacteria. So viruses cannot be killed or inhibited growth by what we call the antibiotics, as they do not grow or reproduce in the same way as bacteria. They don't do the same thing with like bacteria does, and they do not have the same structure either. So that's why we cannot kill viruses with antibiotics. Some bacterial strains becomes resistant to antibiotics as a result of natural selection. Okay, some bacterial strains, they become resistant to antibiotics. So you take the antibiotics, the bacteria cannot go away, still keep being there because of the following reasons. One, a mutation occurs in the bacterial cells which makes it resistant to antibiotics. Maybe mutation, it has mutated. The bacteria has mutated a lot, so it has produced itself a lot and is now resistant to the antibiotics. It becomes difficult for just the penicillin to kill, to burst the bacteria, one bacteria cell, because it has mutated. Another reason why some of them become resistant is that when that antibiotics is administered, this cell is not killed. When the cells do not die, the bacterial cells do not die, then the problem persists, the problem remains. Whereas cells which have not become resistant to the antibiotics will die. Those bacterial cells that have not become resistant to the antibiotics will die. The ones that have become resistant to the antibiotics, they will remain. So you need to take or find another way to destroy this. Now the resistant cell can therefore survive and reproduce, producing more resistant bacteria, which is far more dangerous now for you. We've mentioned the MRSA as the one of the resistant ones. So resistance to antibiotics results in antibiotic-resistant bacterial infection. And when you have antibiotic-resistant bacterial infection, then you need to be administered to the hospital for treatment. Because when your bacteria in your body become resistant to your antibiotics, to your drugs, your penicillin and any other antibiotic drugs that you take, and they form what we call the antibiotic-resistant bacterial infection. When you are at this stage, you need to be administered to the hospital. So, because you now have what we call MRSA, we've talked about this before. The MRSA, which is methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. This is what MRSA means. Okay? Methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. This is what this is the bacteria. Now, this bacteria is resistant to your antibiotics. No matter the antibiotics you take, the number of antibiotics you take, you cannot kill this bacteria. So you have to be admitted to hospital for treatment. It is very important to try to slow the development of the resistant bacteria strain in your body. You have to try to stop it. If not, you end in the hospital. How do you do this? You do this by only using antibiotics for serious infection. Not like every day you are using antibiotics. Anything is wrong with you, you take antibiotics. If you do this, the bacteria will become resistant to your antibiotics, and then it will develop into what we call MRSA. And when you have MRSA, you have to be admitted to the hospital for treatment, because antibiotics can no longer help you. Antibiotics can no longer help you. So you have to be administered to the hospital. So another thing you have to do, apart from the fact that you don't have to take antibiotics all the time in order to prevent MRSA, is always completing your full course of antibiotics that have been prescribed to you by doctors. Because they've already know the number of bacteria, they've tested you, they know the bacteria population in your system, and they prescribe specific number of antibiotics that can kill these bacteria. So if you don't, it kills some. If you just take it because you feel well, the antibiotics will kill some of the bacteria, and while other bacteria will remain alive. And then they will now grow and become resistant. And when they become resistant, they become MRSA resistant bacteria. And then in this case, when you fall sick again, you have to be administered to hospital. Now, these are the good use of drugs. These are drugs and they are good use. Okay, now let's go to misuse drugs. The misuse one. The one people abuse, the one you're not supposed to, and the one you ignorantly get yourself involved that actually affects your entire metabolic system. Then first and foremost is the alcohol. Alcohol and heroin. Now let's talk about alcohol and heroin. We group them because they are both depressants. They make you depressed. When you abuse alcohol and heroin, you become depressed. You'll be super depressed. You can become homeless. If you go to United States, in the streets of LA, you find a lot of homeless people on the street. Not because by natural defect they're homeless or because of anything, but because the drugs make them so. So these drugs, excessive alcohol and heroin, can make you depressed and can make you homeless, can make you like unwell, like you're mad. Okay, can make you like unstable or mad, and can make you broke. No matter how much money you make, they can make you broke. Once you're addicted, it can make you broke. And once you're broke, you become homeless. And once you're homeless, you find yourself on the street. This is very common with big and developed countries, like United States, like Los Angeles, LA, and some other cities, not only California, other cities in the United States. A lot of people fall into this category. So alcohol and heroin, they're both depressants, meaning that they lower the rate of your nervous impulses by blocking your synapse. All your synaptic gaps will be blocked. They block your synapse and they lower your rate of nervous impulse. So when your synapse is blocked, of course, it will lower your nervous impulse. And then there's a big problem. So what this means is that the reactions are slower. Your chemical metabolic reaction in your body becomes slower because your synaptic gaps have been blocked and all your synapses have been blocked, and your nervous reactions become slow. So even if I touch you, I pinch you, you don't feel it much. You just be looking at one place. Your life gradually becoming blocked, and you become not super alive. So they also lower your self-control. You can no longer control yourself. You can even be like doing things irrationally because these drugs, alcohol and heroin, they lower your self-control. And this can lead to increased crime rate and antisocial behavior. So you begin to have social vices in such societies where everyone have access to these drugs. Everyone drinks a lot of alcohol or heroin. They begin to misbehave. They begin to steal on the street. They begin to find guns to kill anyone who does not allow them to steal from them. And they begin to do robbery to get more money to buy drugs, and so on and so forth. So gradually you kill yourself, gradually you kill yourself. Till you get to a point you become a psychiatric, you'll be admitted to a psychiatric hospital if you're lucky enough evil. Or else you kill yourself, you die. So these drugs, they increase the social vices in the society, in every society. Now, these drugs also cause the release of neurotransmitter, such as the dopamine, into your synapses in the reward pathway, which causes high, which makes it to be high. So these drugs, they cause the release of neurotransmitter when it's not necessary. A good example is the dopamine. Dopamine will be released into your synapse, and in the reward pathway, which will cause a very high congestion and high fusions of this dopamine in your system. Now, this can become addictive. This can make you to be addictive, and this thus will lead to the withdrawal symptoms. Okay? And if the person stops taking the drugs, such as anxiety, insomnia, and headaches and nausea, will start to affect you. When you get addicted, when you try to stop, you begin to have things like anxiety. You begin to be shaky once in a while, be afraid easily once in a while. You begin to have things like insomnia, headaches, and nausea, runny nose, and so on and so forth, when you try to stop the drugs. So these are some dangers. That's why you see the homeless people on the street. If you look their nose, they have runny nose, like you can see they are not well. You can see that they are not well. They need attention. They need medical attention. They need medical and psychological attention. Okay, you see their nose, they have nausea, they have headache, they're sick. You can tell they're sick. But these are the result of drugs. And they go out to rob, they go out to steal with knife, with guns, with everything, because they'll be finished with drugs. They'll be taking a lot of alcohol, a lot of heroin, which are depressant. We're going to talk about stimulant drugs, but these are depressant drugs. Alcohol and heroin, they are depressant drugs. So in your exam, they normally talk about heroin a lot. They always ask questions about heroin in IGCSE. So you should know what they cost, what they can give to someone, and when you try to stop them, what the effect you can get. Now, which is called the withdrawal symptoms. When you try to withdraw, you get anxiety, insomnia, headache, and nausea. Now, they can also lead to other medical problems. Now, let's see specific medical problems. Like heroin is usually ejected. You know, when people take heroin, they inject it to their system. Thus, infections such as HIV, HIV are common from sharing dirty needles. You know, those people who take heroin, they inject it to their system. And these people are in the dungeon, and they're friends, and they share the same needles. So if any one of them has HIV virus, then it can pass it to the others. This is one of the big dangers, another dangers that result from this type of behavior. Another one is excessive alcohol consumption leads to liver damage. When you take alcohol too much, it can damage your liver. You know what the liver does in your body? Deamination of excess amino acid. The liver helps to deaminate excess amino acid. It helps to, a lot of things. The liver is always informed when there's too much glucose in your blood to release what? Glycogen, glycagon, all of these things. The liver, what it does, the insulin and all of these things. So if your liver has a problem, what happens to you? You're finished. If the liver has a problem, you're finished. So excessive consumption of alcohol will damage the liver. So people who drink alcohol, you tell them, you say, no, it's good for the body, it's medicine, and so on and so forth. So, when you start with small alcohol, it leads you to huge consumption and then to excessive consumption. So you start with less than a bottle, 1 cup of alcohol to them. And it is forbidden in certain religions like Islam not to consume alcohol, okay? Because it damages your liver. And you have only one liver in your body system. Once it's damaged, it's death. Doctor will just tell you have only 1 month to live. You have only 1 month to live. And then you pass away. It doesn't matter your age. You have only 1 month to live and then you pass away. So excessive alcohol is very dangerous to our liver. The liver usually breaks down alcohol and other because you're giving it too much work to do. Liver breaks down alcohol every time, breaks it down, and every other toxic that you consume. So when you keep doing this, it will get to a certain level, the liver will not be able to, the liver itself will be the one that will break down. It has been helping you to break down alcohol and other toxic, but when you don't stop, you keep taking excessive one, the liver itself will be the one that will break down. Okay, we come to smoking after a while. Performance enhancing drugs, which are also very bad. The second set of drugs people take that are very dangerous is performance enhancing drugs. Okay, some drugs are used to enhance sporty performance. You know, all these people who carry sport, who do sport, they take some drugs to enhance their performance, so they can walk for a long time without getting tired. They can run around the field for as long as possible without getting tired while they are doing that. But as you're doing that, the drugs is combating your body cells, and after a while you have problem with your testosterone for the male, and also you have problem with the anabolic steroids problem we emanate. So we look at this, you enjoy while you do sport because you're making money. These drugs, they are seen as unfair and usually banned with using them from certain sport. Like in football, if you're tested to have taken drugs, and then you'll be banned. They don't allow you to take these drugs. These drugs are not good for your body. Okay? They affect your anabolic, they cause steroids in your system. Anabolic steroid triggers the release of hormones, which promotes muscle mass strength. When you take these drugs, they will enhance your muscles, and they will enhance your mass and your strength. So you'll be able to perform on this pitch, but they have effect on you generally. Different types of steroid targets different muscle groups. You remember the 2018 Russia Winter Olympic team was disqualified from competing for taking anabolic steroids to enhance their performance. The whole team was disbanded because they took the anabolic steroid to enhance their performance. So this is one of the performance enhancing drugs that people take, anabolic steroid. Okay? Another one is the testosterone. Testosterone is a hormone which enhances athletic performance by improving the muscle strength and size, and as well as increasing the energy levels and the hand-eye coordinations. The hand-eye coordination helps you to coordinate, to focus while you're doing the sport, and enhances your strength. So there's a drug called testosterone, and that sport people take, but it's an abuse use of drugs. You don't have to take anything, you just have to do a lot of exercise to be fit, to build your stamina to do the sport. You don't have to use drugs to enhance your performance, because these are abuse use of drugs, and they have big resultant effect on your body. Okay, after a while, these drugs, they stimulate your hormones, they stimulate your body system and your metabolic reactions to happen faster, and sooner than later you start having problems because of drugs. The third group is smoking. Let's take a look at smoking. We've talked about the heroin, we talked about the misuse of drugs. Okay, now let's talk about smoking. We always tell people smoking is very dangerous. It causes lung cancer, causes chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, the COP, what we call the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. It causes the lung cancer, it causes coronary heart disease. Okay, smoking causes a lot of problems, lots of problems. And we're going to see why, because they have nicotine and tar. They have two chemical substances, the tar and the nicotine, that makes it super dangerous. One of it is to make you addicted, and the other of it is to eventually to destroy you. Now, smoking and the disease that follows smoking. Smoking is addictive. It makes you addictive because there's a chemical called nicotine that is used in making tobacco, used in making this cigarette. So this chemical nicotine makes you to be addicted. You will be super addicted to it. If you don't smoke, you will not feel right. Okay, because of this chemical they put in it. So anytime you hit a cigarette, you're taking a lot of nicotine. So it makes you addicted. Nicotine makes you addicted, which is inhaled when the cigarette smoke, when you inhale any cigarette smoke, and causes the release of dopamine. Remember, dopamine will cause what? the stimulation of a neurotransmitter that will make your systems to be super high. This leads to long-term smoking habits, which have been linked to many diseases. Okay, this nicotine stimulates dopamine, and this keep you to be smoking. Okay, continuous smoke. This makes you addicted to be smoking continuously, and then that will now result to so many other diseases that will affect you because you keep smoking. Like I always say, smoking removes 20 years from your age. If you're going to live for 100 years, smoking will take 20 years away. You live only 20 years, only 80 years. If you're supposed to be 80 years, smoking will make you live 60 years. If you're supposed to live 60, smoking will make you die at 40. So it removes 20 years from your original age that has been given to you. So you bought something that short-lived you. You are buying something that is going to make you die earlier. So why you spend money to kill yourself? It's like you are taking poison gradually. Every time you smoke, you take poison gradually, and eventually it will catch up with you. Now let's take a look at the first chronic disease, the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. It's a group of diseases that decrease the efficiency of your gas exchange in your lungs. You know, there's gaseous exchange in your lungs. The oxygen is taken into the red blood cells, and the carbon dioxide is taken out from your red blood cells into the alveoli. Oxygen is taken from the alveoli and diffuses into the red blood cells, and then the carbon dioxide diffuses from the alveoli the carbon dioxide diffuses from the red blood cells into the alveoli. So gaseous exchange is taking place. But when you keep smoking for a long time, this disease will happen. We decrease the efficiency of gas exchange. Meaning, to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide will be very difficult in your alveoli red blood cell gateway. Alveoli and your red blood cell gateway, there will be a minimized exchange of gas taking place. And once that happens, when there's a minimum exchange of gas happening in your lungs, you know the alveoli is in the lungs, okay, where the exchange of gas takes place. Once that happens, then the problem is you're building a problem. You're building a problem the way people build house. You build a big problem for yourself. Hence, it will decrease the surface area of your diffusion. Yeah, diffusion is already like, you know, the gases they diffuse. So it will decrease the surface area, meaning the available channel or available platform for diffusion to take place is now minimized because smoking has damaged the better part of this alveoli. So the diffusion surface area is reduced, and it will cause inflammation in the airway. So once that happens, a corpse, the coronary obstructive, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease causes breathlessness. You find it difficult to breathe. You start finding it difficult to breathe. A persistent cough, you'll be coughing. See, people smoke, they cough a lot. You now start having a repeated cough. You'll be coughing frequently. And you now have chest infections. You start having infection in the chest. You cough every now and then. every now and then you sick, you keep doing this. Why? Because there's no proper exchange of gases taking place in your alveoli. There's no proper exchange of gas taking place in your alveoli. There's inflammation in your exchange pathway, and you start having a lot of chest pain, and you start coughing a lot, and your breath is not sufficient anymore. Now the condition can be cured anyway. If you are at this early stage, it can be cured. But if it goes beyond this early stage, that cannot be cured. If it goes beyond this early stage, cannot be cured. Once you start reaching the level of short breath, persistent cough, frequent chest infection, then this cannot be cured. But if it's the early stage, doctor will tell you to quit smoking to enhance your system, and after some time they'll give you some medicine. After some time you'll be better. But if you let it to degenerate to a very high level, and then it will reach a point that you can no longer be able to cure this. And once that happens, the progression can be slow when you take drugs, and when you treat it, you can slow the progression but cannot be cured. You're already living with a disease called the COPS. the COPD. Okay, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The second problem with smoking is lung cancer. One of the very serious form of cancer is the lung cancer. When you have lung cancer, you're dying quickly. All cancer, you're dying anyway. But when you have this, then you have problem, you know. You know what the lungs is super important. That's where the gateway for exchange of gas into your body. The carbon dioxide, which is poisonous to your body, has to be gotten rid of. And it comes out from the lungs. The oxygen that has to go into your cells, your body cells, goes through the lungs. So if you damage the lungs, what happens to you? You're dying quickly. Because nobody can live without breathing in oxygen. Nobody can live. Or taking out carbon dioxide. These two gases, one must go in, one must go out. If you have a problem with the gateway that enable the exchange of these two gases, then you're dying quickly. So the lung cancer is a serious problem. It's a serious form of cancer for which smoking accounts for over 85% of it. The causes of this lung cancer, smoking accounts for 85% of it. The remaining 50% may be from dust, from dusty environment, from other, like dust generally, concrete dust, all types of dust. But however, 85% of lung cancer is caused by smoking cigarette. So you can see this is not a funny thing. This is because cigarette smoke contain a variety of toxic chemicals. Many of them are, or some of them are carcinogens. Okay, many of these chemicals are carcinogen. These chemicals, they are toxic to the system and they begin to affect your lungs and thereby causing cancer. Another disease we get from smoking is the coronary heart disease. Coronary heart disease. Smoking puts the strain on the heart due to the nicotine and carbon monoxide that you are breathing in every time. You know, every time you smoke, you breathe in carbon monoxide. You know, carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas. It's a poisonous gas. So every time you smoke, you are taking carbon monoxide. And after a long time, you start having the arteries that connects, that takes blood from your heart to the heart muscles begin to be blocked. The artery that takes the blood from your heart to the heart muscles begin to be blocked. Not only it takes a blood, you know, this blood contains your oxygen. This blood contains the nutrient. This blood contains the liquid plasma. This blood contains every good thing, the water, everything that is being delivered to the heart muscles. Once your heart muscles, the hemoglobin, okay, this blood contains all of these things. So when your heart muscles do not get all of these things efficiently or fast enough, the way it should be, then you have what a disease called the coronary heart disease. All of this, they're dangerous and they kill as much as possible. Is that okay? Now let's take a look at the components of cigarette. What are those things that are in cigarette? The first one is that are causing these carcinogens. Okay? There is a toxic mix of over 7,000 chemicals in cigarette. Can you imagine what we smoke? Over 7,000 chemicals. Over 7,000 chemicals in cigarette. That's a death sentence. It's like someone signing signature for his own death. Say, I want to die. Even if they say don't die, you say, I want to die, I want to die, I want to die. Every cigarette is a signature of death. The death does not come immediately you smoke it. That's why people who smoke, they argue, I've been smoking for the past 10 years, nothing has happened to me. They have this argument. I've been smoking for 5 years now, nothing has happened. You know, the day something will happen is not the day that you will know. It will just start. It's actually deteriorating your head, it's just that you don't know. If you go to doctors to check your system, they will tell you. You know, your system is deteriorating gradually, day in, day out. And this is fast happening without your knowledge. Because you've not broken down does not mean that you are well. You're not well. You just have to check your system. So imagine you're taking several thousand different chemicals into your body. These are not good chemicals. You're taking poison, several thousand poisons into your body systems. You see, there's many of which are poisons. You see, I've already itemized that. They are poisons and they are carcinogens. Carcinogens, they cause cancers. Okay? So you can see you're taking poison and carcinogen to your body from cigarette. One of the components is called nicotine, which we've talked about. It causes addictiveness. It makes you to be addicted to smoke. The cigarette has something that will make you take again. It has something in it that will make you want to take again and again and again and again and again. Is that okay? So be careful. Once you take one stick, you want a second one, a third one, like that, till you become super addicted. And it causes high heart rate and blood pressure. It gives you high blood pressure. So why do you want to give yourself high blood pressure? Anyone that has high blood pressure, if not quickly checked, it becomes super high blood pressure, what we call the hypertension. When it becomes super high blood pressure, or the hypertension level, your high blood pressure becomes up to 150 milligram, then you will you gradually dying. Your high blood pressure kills silently. It's called silent killer. So why take a cigarette to stimulate your blood pressure? It also triggers the release of adrenaline. See? It triggers the release of adrenaline. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful. Okay? Then the second one is called the tar. Tar, which is inhaled anytime you smoke, sticks to the cilia of the cells in the lung. It sticks to the ciliary cells of the lungs, which usually transport mucus away from the lungs to protect it from infection. So the cilia helps to transport mucus away from the lungs to protect it from infection. Now, the tar will stick there and prevent it to be transporting mucus away from the lungs. Then you are now vulnerable to infections. The lungs will now be vulnerable to infections. So to prevent them from doing this, which is why smokers are more susceptible to chest infections, because the tar stick to it and prevent mucus from being taken away. So when you smoke, you've made yourself vulnerable to chest infections more often than none. Okay. The third effect of cigarette is carbon monoxide. Every time you smoke, you're taking in a poisonous gas called the carbon monoxide. And this carbon monoxide, they decreases the amount of oxygen in the blood, thus putting a strain on the heart to pump more blood, to give you more supply. Why? Because the cells will feel that there's no much blood. Not because there's no much blood, because the oxygen is not sufficient. Because the oxygen in the blood is not sufficient, the cells will be reading it as if the blood is not sufficient. So you'll be putting pressure on the heart to pump more blood. Give me more blood. Why are you not giving me enough blood? Meanwhile, it has been giving enough blood. It is oxygen that was not enough in the blood. So you put a strain on the heart to pump more blood. Because the carbon monoxide has dealt with the oxygen. It's a poisonous gas that decreases the amount of oxygen in the blood. So you're in trouble. These three things is enough reasons why you shouldn't smoke. But the problem in some countries like Malaysia, is that even if you're not smoking, you are called a alcohol smokers. As much as you go to restaurants where people smoke publicly. I think the government of this country should promulgate a law to prevent smoking in public places. In many developed countries, they've banned smoking in public places. Like in United Kingdom, they've banned smoking in public places. If you want to kill yourself, go kill yourself somewhere else. Don't be giving smoke to people who are not smoking. Okay? Don't. So you want to smoke, go smoke in a quiet place. Don't give to your families, don't give to friends, don't give to community where you live. Okay? There are other drugs like cocaine. They are stimulant drugs. I think maybe those ones are in another section. We'll try to find those ones these ones we've taken, they're depressant. So we look at the stimulant drugs later on, like the cocaine the methamphetamine and all of these other drugs. Okay, so with this we come to the end of this class.